Let's watch him go down. He likes it. Rebuild it. You go up it. You gotta go.
Japan's service firms enjoyed a festive end to the year. The sector expanded for a second straight month during December, according to figures out Monday. The closely watched services PMI from AU Jibun Bank rose to 50.9. That was a bit lower than an earlier preliminary reading, but still well above the key 50-point level that indicates rising activity. Firms were buoyed by solid demand. That saw a sub-index of new business rise for a sixth month, while employment was up for a 15th straight month. Firms said they were hiring more people in line with expansion plans. Business sentiment also stayed positive, with companies saying they were hopeful activity and demand will both grow over the coming year. The rate of inflation held at relatively high levels during the month, largely due to rising costs for labour and raw materials. That will bolster the chances of further rate hikes by the Bank of Japan. However, Bank Governor Kazuo Ueda has said he also needs to watch overseas developments, not least what Donald Trump does when he takes office in the US later in January.
The pro-Russian breakaway region of Moldova is facing extended power cuts, local authorities said, after being left without Russian gas supplies no longer transiting through neighboring Ukraine. Hour-long cuts were first imposed in Transnistria on Friday evening after heating and hot water supplies were curtailed. They were extended to 3 hours on Saturday. The region's self-styled president, Vadim Krasnoselsky, wrote on the Telegram messaging app that rolling power cuts would be extended to 4 hours on Sunday. All industries except those producing food have been shut down. A resident in Tiraspol, the enclave's main city, voiced concern about the cold temperatures ahead.
This night we had a bit of a hard time because it was very cold and the walls were damp. It was okay as my child was wrapped up, but they are forecasting freezing cold now.
Transnistria had received gas from Russian giant Gazprom through a pipeline crossing Ukraine. Those flows stopped on New Year's Day after a transit deal expired between the warring countries and Kyiv refused to extend it. The mainly Russian-speaking enclave has lived side by side with Moldova since breaking away from it in the last days of Soviet rule. Separately from the transit dispute with Ukraine, Gazprom said in late December it would halt supplies to Moldova on January 1st over $709 million in unpaid gas debts. Moldova disputes that and has put the debt at around $9 million. Moldova's government blames Russia for the crisis and has called on Gazprom to ship gas through alternative routes. Russia denies using gas as a weapon to coerce Moldova and blames Kyiv for refusing to renew the gas transit deal. Moldovan Prime Minister Doran Rechan said last week his country faced a security crisis over the situation and that the government had prepared alternative arrangements with a mixture of domestic production and electricity imports from Romania.
Former United States President Jimmy Carter's casket was brought to his home state of Georgia on Saturday, where ceremonies were held to mark the start of his state funeral. Well-wishers lined the road as the motorcade drove through his hometown of Plains before stopping in Archery, where he grew up. It then went to the state capitol in Atlanta, where state dignitaries greeted members of Carter's family. Finally, at Carter Presidential Library, the Military Honor Guard received the casket. Carter's second son, James, paid tribute not only to his father, but also his mother, Rosalind, who died 2 years ago.
He was an amazing man, and he was held up and propped up and soothed by an amazing woman. And the two of them together changed the world. And it was an amazing thing to watch from so close and to be able to be involved in. And I thank you for your service.
Carter, who died a week ago at the age of 100, will lie there in repose until Tuesday. Outside the library, a line of people waited to pay their respects to the former Democratic president, who was in office from 1977 to 1981. Among them was lifetime Carter supporter Jackie Cunningham.
You're sad because one of the brightest lights that humanity has ever seemed to give us, at least in my lifetime, is out. But then you're hopeful that it'll be carried on. So it's a real mix of emotions.
Carter's body will be taken to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, according to the U.S. military. A funeral service will be held there on January 9th, which President Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning. Carter will then be buried in a private ceremony back in Georgia. Rather than flowers, Carter's family has asked for donations to his namesake center to help its work in global health, peace, and human rights.
Volkswagen is deepening its ties with Chinese EV maker XPeng. The pair said Monday that they would expand their partnership to build an ultra-fast charging network for electric cars. They will open their existing Chinese networks to each other's customers. That covers about 20,000 charging systems across 420 cities in the country. And they will explore joint construction of new co-branded sites. XPeng and VW first formed a partnership in 2023. At the time, the German giant bought a stake of almost 5% in the Chinese firm for $700 million. The company said they would jointly launch 2 VW-branded EVs in China by 2026. Volkswagen later said it had worked with XPeng to develop a new architecture for intelligent and electric cars. It said that would allow it to offer more affordable EVs in its biggest market.